Boogie Bentley, what's up, man? Been a couple of months. How's the well? I don't want to say it's spring yet. It's still kind of chilly, but how's the off season treating you and your channel?
Oh, fantastic, man. We're talking a little recruiting. We're getting geared up, ready for spring camp. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. There are some questions about this football team, and you can spin it two ways. You can say, hey, we have an opportunity to get better, or you can say, hey, the sky is falling, doom and gloom. And I kind of feel like Tennessee is a program that is where we're at. You're not quite at that national championship elite level, but you're close. Does Heupel take a step forward, or does he take a step back? We got a lot, man, a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah, and in terms of how most people view it, it's the doom and gloom, right? It's like, oh my gosh, you're losing this. I can't believe you let all those guys walk in the transfer portal in the defensive backfield. What? Defensive backfield was great last year, right? For the most part. And that's kind of where I'm at on the offensive line. Although, I mean, it's like Cooper Mays is out of eligibility. That's a big loss any way you want to spin it. I think he's played really good football here, but I think Tennessee's going to be fine at guards, okay? David Sanders is going to be an unbelievable talent, but how quickly can he adapt and be a good option at right tackle in the SEC? It's a true freshman. Got a lot of questions on the offensive line, but I do think with the versatility of Notre Dame transfer Sam Pendleton, Wendell Moy is going to be one of the guards. Got a question about center, and then, whoever is your starting center, I think the rest will kind of fall into place. But for me, eyes are going to the offensive line early on. It's exciting, though. I think there's some opportunity to be there because for as good as they blocked in the run last year, rushing for nearly 3,000 yards, it's not just Dylan Sampson, guys, okay? I promise there's guys blocking big boys in front of them. There is a lot left to be desired in terms of overall offensive line production.
Yeah, I think the offensive line has a chance to get better, right? And some of the doom and gloomers, they like to say, why don't we get to play young guys? Where are the young guys? Why can't Glenn Ellerbe develop talent? Well, we're going to see if he can develop talent. We're going to see what William Satterwhite looks like at center. That's who ultimately I think wins that job. But you mentioned the guard position, right? Wendell Moy Jr., you go get Pendleton in the transfer portal as well. Those are guys that still have some football in front of them, but they've played a lot of football, man. They've got a lot of experience. So I think this offensive line could be better. I think Lance Hurd, I thought he played good at times last year. I think he has an opportunity to play really good football. You got 2 5-star offensive tackles that should be starting on this offensive line in 2025. What more can you ask for? But David Sanders, the question got brought up on my channel. Coach Jay said, Boogie, how would you feel? I'm going to ask you this question. How would you feel if we get through spring camp, fall camp, and ultimately Bennett Warren wins that job at right tackle? How would you feel about that?
Good for Bennett Warren. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to name, starting right tackle after spring, but I know what you're saying. I think it's going to be David Sanders simply because you've invested so much into him and kind of where you are in college football now, you got to play him. However, a guy like Bennett Warren could be better equipped to play early, right? And then David could kind of, maybe you could split that a little bit. Oh, you don't rotate offensive linemen. I hate rotating offensive linemen, but look what Tennessee did at right tackle all last year. Maybe in the beginning you could see a little something like that if Sanders is taking a little while to get going, if Sanders' strength of, being an early enrollee, 18-year-old, not only having a couple of months in the strength conditioning program, knowing that he's only going to get better and stronger and all that, maybe you split a little bit early on. But, for me, if it's Bennett Warren's turning heads, Bennett Warren's, with the ones, it wouldn't be shocking, but still, that's going to be David Sanders' position eventually, if not game one, snap one. He's going to be playing 50% of the snaps in game one. I just think it's eventually going to be his, obviously, but I wouldn't be totally shocked if Bennett Warren has great reviews, and I hope he does. I mean, Tennessee needs it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, all those things that you laid out about why it should be David Sanders, if it was Bennett Warren, that tells me that Bennett Warren earned it. So yeah. I say good. I say let the best man play. I think it's going to be David Sanders too. I think he starts from day one. But again, you got 2 5-star tackles on the outside. You got some guys with experience at guard. William Satterwhite. Man, you mentioned Cooper Mays. I mean, Josh Heupel's never had a different center. I mean, yeah, when Coop got hurt, went down, you had some different guys slide in there, but that's been the center. That's been your leader on the offensive line for Josh Heupel's entire tenure at Tennessee.
Yeah, like up until the 2024 season, you never had a true backup center. I think now, like in 2024, William Satterwhite was the true backup center. Now, maybe early on, Dane Davis would have slid down, but I mean, towards the end of the season, I think that was Satterwhite. I think he kind of was the true backup center. But you had Ollie Lane, you had Dane Davis, you had Jerome Carvin. It's going to be kind of a different look, right? And I'm excited to see what William Satterwhite does if he can win that job. I'm like you. I think that's going to be him, but he's got to go out there and prove it. You look at wide receiver, and I don't want to be that guy, the doom and gloom guy, but I mean, you look at the production, and I know 2 to tango, right? I mean, Joe, Nico, like offensive line, like it's a team sport. But I look at the production of the wide receiver group the last 2 years, and in my eyes, it's like only one way, and that's up, right? Despite losing 7 wide receivers out of that room, and Dante Thornton, who's a big-time playmaker and made him some money at the NFL Combine, I'm not too worried about wide receiver. I know that's kind of crazy, but unbelievable talent in Mike Matthews. I think Chris Brazzell's only going to get better. I'm so pumped about seeing Travis Smith. I think Amari Jefferson's obviously going to help. Braylon Staley just needs reps. And because the production just isn't where it's needed to be the last 2 years, I'm not too worried about wide receiver. Is that a bad take, Boogie?
I don't think it's a bad take. The only thing I'm worried about with that room is depth. What happens if a guy goes down? Then you got questions. You kind of mentioned the offensive line, compared it to the secondary a year ago. I think the wide receiver room fits that comparison perfectly because it's guys that left, right? It's not Coops out of eligibility, Spraggs and Campbell. Those guys are out of eligibility. It's guys that are choosing to go elsewhere. Now, were they told to go elsewhere? Did they want more money? Did they not like the money they were being offered? I don't know. I don't really care, but I saw somebody tweet out and said, who would you rather have at wide receiver? Nathan Laycock, Nate Spillman, Caleb Webb, and Squirrel White? Or would you rather have Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, Chris Brazzell, Amari Jefferson? Give me that second group. Again, unproven. It's a question mark, and that's the big theme, man. I get it. It's spring camp. It's who looks the part. Oh, he's got the body. He looks the part, and we get to the spring game, and some walk-on is flashing and making plays, and everybody's tweeting about him. I get it, but I'm still excited to see spring and see what these wide receivers can do, man. I just think Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, what does Chris Brazzell look like in his second year? I thought he was starting to come on. I'm with you. I agree. The only thing I would maybe disagree is if a guy goes down, the depth at wide receiver is what really concerns me more.
And that's why I think they got to go get, and I know you never want to phrase it this way because like the guy's going to read all the media reports and the articles and the graphics and all that, but you got to go get another body. I mean, I'm with you there. Like that's why the spring portal is going to be important for Tennessee. What do you make about this whole Ricky Gibson situation? To me, it's pretty black and white. It is what it is. I think it's going to get resolved, but it's still just not. It kind of makes you feel uneasy, right, when you make it a public affair, if you will.
Right. And I made a video on it. I made a video when he first went to the portal. I let it soak. I thought about it. I really didn't like it. What I don't like is you taking advantage of your misfortune of your teammate, right? That's what we don't like. You slap the sign, I'm going to give my all for Tennessee today. Are you? Or are you going to put yourself in the best position to make money? Now, I went pretty hard at Ricky Gibson in that video, but on the flip side, it's not Ricky Gibson's fault. It's the system's fault. It's the system we're in. It's the world of college football. Like, do you blame a guy for having an opportunity to go make money? I'm with you. I don't like that it's public. And then, how does this work out? Does he end up going through practice on Friday? I don't know when you're going to air this. I'm assuming he does based on what you guys over at VolQuest have said. Does that mean the deal is done? Do they take care of this before spring camp, or is he just going to go through camp? And then how does Josh Heupel handle that? Like, how are you going to give Ricky Gibson reps if he's going to walk when the portal opens? Like, I just don't see how you handle that. And then how do your teammates feel about that, right? How does Boo Carter feel about it, who was in the public eye for trying to work a better deal? How does Mike Matthews feel about it? Do they come back for more money? Like, you got to put some type of regulation on this thing. I think we're going to see a big change to the spring schedule, to everything with college football over the next 12 months. They have to fix this problem. I just don't get it. Like, so again, do I like Ricky Gibson doing it? No, but it's the system. It's the world we live in.
Yeah, you got to get rid of that spring portal window, and that's a conversation for another day. That's a podcast for another day. But, I mean, I agree with all that you said, and you kind of brought up the two names there. I mean, Tennessee's already done this with Mike Matthews, with Boo Carter, with other guys on the roster that nobody knows about. I mean, you said it's the system, right? I mean, you have a good year, you get more money. Even if you don't have a good year, you still you request more money because you think you're worth more than what they think you're. I mean, it's just... It is what it is, and these are agents driving it out there. I mean, this might not even have been Ricky Gibson, but it's his team, it's his leadership, and like you said, taking advantage of an injury, that's not great. And I got to get you out of here. I promise you 10 minutes, but we can talk about O-line, cornerback depth, wide receiver, freshman transfers. I mean, we could talk for hours on that, and we'd be excited about it. But at the end of the day, Nico. It is all about Nico. Nico takes a step in the fall. He covers some of these warts. Tennessee's offense gets back to where it's going to be. It's all about Nico. I think Nico's going to benefit from new voices in the room, right? Seth Littrell coming over. I think that's a big get for Josh Heupel. Of course, he's not the OC or the quarterback's coach, but just a new, fresh, coat of paint on the wall. That don't hurt nobody, especially for an offense that arguably could be considered a little bit stale the last couple of years compared to the first 2 years.
Yeah, I love the moves that Josh Heupel is making. Not to completely derail the conversation, but you've added what, 3 guys on this coaching staff that have head coach experience like that. There is so much value there. The special teams guy, he's got head coaching experience.
Yeah.
The guy they just added this week has head coaching experience. I love it. More eyes, like you said, in the room. It's not just Josh Heupel in there. It's not just Joey Halsley in there scheming things up. It's everybody in the that's an analyst. It's everybody on the coaching staff. But Nico's got to take a step. And I think $8 million, right? $8 million. $8 million makes it hard to remember that he was a redshirt freshman. And I get it. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that excuse for Nico, but that's the reality of the situation. So you hope he takes a big step in his second year as a full-time starter. And I think he can. Was he fully healthy all last year? I don't know. I think we saw early in the year that Nico can make all the throws. The ball location, the precision, the accuracy. I think he's cool, calm, collected. He's got to take a step, but everybody around him has to take another step. How much better is Nico if they're protecting him? You mentioned leading the conference in rushing for what? Back-to-back seasons? We got to protect Nico better. Give him time. He's got to make better decisions. He's got to be quicker with the football. We'll see. It's year 2, man. It's year 2. I feel like we are at a crossroads, which is stupid to say, and maybe it's too dramatic. But we're right there, man. We are so close to being an elite level team, a true national championship team. And I feel like you said naysayers earlier, a lot of the naysayers are just looking for an excuse to say Josh Heupel is not the guy. He has to take a step in 2025.
Boogie, offseason's here, but spring practice getting going. I'm sure you guys are going to be busy over there on the channel talking Vols.
We're going to go live. I don't know when you're putting this up. We're live Friday morning.
Friday morning I'm putting it up.
We're going to be live at 10:30 a.m. this morning. We're going to go through Josh Heupel's press conference. We'll be talking about all the news coming out of the first practice, and then we're going live every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, talking about spring camp, recruiting, everything going on with Tennessee football. Also on Sundays, we play video games, we drink, we hang out, and we have a good time. So come hang out with us on Sunday nights at 6:30.
So you're listening to this early Friday morning on the way to work or whatever. Be sure when you're in the cubicle, when you're, taking the dog for a walk, whenever you're at lunch, whatever, tune in. Catch the replay if you don't catch it live, 10:30 on the Talking Vols YouTube channel. Boogie, appreciate it as always, man. Thanks so much.
Always a good time. Go Vols.